another one that I thought was really funny, and it was a true story, was a guy I once worked for who told me the day he hired me, he told me he could teach a monkey how to drive a truck. This was for a bottling plant, and I shall keep the major soft drink company unmentioned as I tell this true story. But the guy, anyway, I went to apply for the job, and this is when I just started driving a truck. So, as far as I knew at the time, the best thing I could have told somebody was, hey, I know how to drive a truck. You know what I mean? So, I go in there, and I'm like, yeah, I know how to drive a truck. And the guy says, well, I could teach a monkey how to drive a truck. I want to know if you could sell soda. So, I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm a salesman, man, you know. So I said whatever it took, you know, and I got the job. But funny thing was, that always stuck in my mind, that he said he could teach a monkey how to drive a truck. And here I am, you know, I fancy myself as a, you know, a good driver, I thought. So I kind of was a little insulted by that, but of course I was glad to get the job. But anyway, that was how I got my CDL. I had some sales experience, so he hired me with those famous words. And after convincing him that I could sell, he issued me a certificate for a written test and a road test. I had never been a tractor-trailer driver. I always wanted to. I mean, I had a what was called a Class B CDL. I drove straight trucks, tow trucks, you know, stuff like that at this point in my life. I guess I was about 23 or so. And I proceeded to learn how to drive a tractor-trailer on my own while delivering the soda to the stores. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciated the opportunity at the time, but I was a conscientious young guy who really tried hard to be safe. I would have to learn to drive a truck somewhere else if he didn't give me the job. I really wanted to be a truck driver. And, you know, some of the people he hired, though probably good at sales, couldn't learn to back a truck for weeks, even months. I caught on quickly because, you know, like I said, I was already a straight truck and tow truck driver and stuff like that. But some of the conversations in the driver's room were about things like how to shift gears, how not to use the clutch, how to check oil, what's a pre-trip inspection, you know, the things you would expect from someone, you know, who literally never drove a truck. And it wasn't funny. It was scary. There was always an occasional accident, too, and nobody ever got fired for hitting overpasses, parked cars, anything, as long as they sold cases of soda. But really, sales was the easy part. All I had to do was go see how much soda I could fit on the shelves that were pre-designated to stock my company's product. Then fill up the shelves and ask the store manager if I could build, you know, like a display at the end of the aisle or something to sell, you know, whatever's on sale this week. You know, we did get paid commission, so it was always a pleasure to build, you know, a nice display and shove as many cases as I could into it. And but driving was the hard part. Almost every stop I had to back into an alley or park in some spot that was not quite big enough for my truck. You know, a lot of times I'd have to double park on the street and, you know, unload on the side with traffic blaring past me. You know, and that was the hard part, getting into those stores, those little corner stores and little neighborhoods in Chicago and stuff, little side streets, dead ends and everything, you know. Sometimes, I mean, I had to park on the sidewalk a couple of places, you know, back down dead end alleys and stuff. So, needless to say, this was very challenging to someone who never drove a truck. And through trial and error, that's how I learned my basic skills. And delivering all that soda with the, you know, with a two-wheeler was physically hard. But driving a truck in the big city was mentally hard. I learned something new every day. And 25 years later, I still learn. But the sales aspect by far was the easiest thing about that job. My boss, the one who said he could teach a monkey how to drive, sometimes would have to go run a route when a driver called in sick. He would skip customers he thought weren't important. He would just fly through the major accounts and not make any extra sales. Then he would come in early and say, that route only took me 4 hours. Why does so-and-so always take 10 hours? Well, all the drivers used to talk about him but behind his back anyway. We saw right through him. He was a real know-it-all who made a lot of mistakes. But one day he got hurt while directing one of his newly trained salespeople to back a truck into a small spot that only had like 2 feet for him to stand next to the truck. So there he was against the wall, waving a hand to come on back. And the newbie driver came back all right. He squeezed the boss between the side of the truck and a wall, breaking a few ribs. As soon as I heard about this, I did send him some flowers, because a lot of guys pitched in on it. I didn't personally do it, but I did put an anonymous note in the flowers that said, well, I just said get better. But what I really wanted to say was, maybe you should start teaching truck drivers how to sell, because monkeys can sell. I could teach a monkey how to sell. Which is true. Remember the old organ grinder guys? They'd stand on the street corner, and it was the monkey who was what got all the attention. So I think it's really true that you can teach a monkey to sell, but it's surely not true that you can teach a monkey to drive a truck.